All right, fellas, here we're back in another Pokemon Horizons video. Yes, I'm still doing other content that's not Pokemon Masters, all right? I said I wasn't going to stop, and I don't really plan to. Okay, Pokemon Horizons. We love this. So, this episode is, I think, like a Nidothing fan showdown or something like that. I think that's what the episode's called. And it's a pretty good episode. Overall, it's a pretty good episode. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. It's be why. So, it does open here with Dot as a Nidothing with the spinning and grooving or whatever. It's one of her episodes where she basically says that she's looking for sightings of rare Pokemon or Pokemon that are using weird moves that the Pokedex doesn't say it can use. Legendary Pokemon with the little black Rayquaza there. I always love these Nidothing videos with the funny, funny artwork, I guess, like the very childlike artwork. Because I mean, Nidothing kind of is similar to that, where it's very childish looking, and then we've got this funny looking Rayquaza here. I do like it. And obviously Dot is curious about it. Of course, obviously, you know, it's a front for like a fun episode or whatever, but it is more so that obviously she's looking for these Pokemon to potentially find the 6 heroes, the Black Rayquaza, more signs of Lockwium, stuff like that. Of course, Dot is mostly putting on a front here for that, to be able to actually get intel and information. So she's really using her social media aspect very, very well. And I think that is one of the best highlights of the time skip, is that Dot has grown more into not just making her Nidothing hobby as like a thing that's a hobby, but that also like kind of develops her as like a person or whatever. It is also something that's really good to actually like advance the plot, and you know, they made it integral instead of just more of a gag personality trait, I guess. I feel like that might be the best way to put it. They actually just made it an important thing. I do like that. So, commenter said that they saw a Black Rayquaza, and it cuts out to the real beginning of the episode, where we get the casual spiel of Liko and Roy, you know, wanting to free the truth of the Rising Voltaclers or whatever, you know, them being framed, right? So that's basically, I guess, it's how most of these episodes are going to start. So very, very interesting opening for sure. We are in some town or whatever where they're I think, like picking berries and plants and stuff like that. And Liko says to Masquerade they'll have to get some sweets. It's cool, nice little bit, whatever. And Roy is obviously very excited to see the Black Rayquaza again. Again, he's got that intel from Dot, from that fan that said that they saw a Black Rayquaza. So this is his only chance. I don't think he's likely not seen the Black Rayquaza since what happened in Laqua. So it's gonna have been a while for him. And obviously, you know, the Black Rayquaza is still his primary goal, right? And he says that the person who, I think it's either, I don't remember who says this between Roy and Liko, but they say that someone submitted was a Nidothing fan. They are a longtime supporter. Liko starts getting a little bit of anxiety, asking will she be able to keep up with this fan, and that she hasn't been watching Nidothing's live streams. This is actually a pretty big point of contention in the episode, is how Liko feels about, like, not her friendship with Dot, but more so her, like, her status as a Nidothing fan, I guess, right? A big thing of this is like being able to kind of, at least it might not be an undertone, more just be like a direct point of the episode, but it's like how can you separate like the viewer, or not the viewer, the creator from the person that they are, right? Where obviously Dot and Nidothing are very, very different people. I think at least a subtle thing that this episode tries to go for is like how explaining that different kind of traits, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So and then Roy just tries to comfort Liko, saying that there's no contest, and you know, and that he believes that mostly because she is I think in the dub this is like Sprigatito Love or something like that, whatever the translation is. Yeah, she was the girl, I think, with the Sprigatito, not mask, but she had Sprigatito in her hands, right? So she was like an original Nidothing fan character, something like that. I don't quite remember exactly. I do remember the episode a little bit, but not that much. And then we actually end up meeting the fan of Nidothing, as you can tell. Good lord, she's got 2 Littens there, and she's got the whole Nidothing attire. Go into the intro, and then we got the title here, which says "Die-Hard Follower" and Nidothing Fan Showdown. So we've got 2 very cute Littens there, and we do have I forget what I think her name is in Japanese is like Nyabi Fan, which is Litten, basically Litten Fan. Yeah, Nyabi Super Fan or Nyabi Fan. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what Litten's name in the sub is. Let me actually look. Yes, having confirmed that Litten's direct name is Nyabi. So yeah, very interesting to see that. But yeah, that is obviously where her name is coming. Liko's very got a little bit of adoration for her design. I guess probably either the cats or the Nidothing outfit. Probably the Nidothing outfit. Of course, we get the trope here of calling Cap cute. Cap does not like it, starts sneezing, but she keeps doting on him a good bit. And Terapagos is hanging out with the Littens, looking super adorable as usual. And we do have the Nido Thing merch, which is all handmade by the Nyabi fan here, which is interesting for sure. That I'm honestly surprised Dot has not released like actual merchandise, but maybe that just requires a lot. I don't know. Or maybe she does, and we just haven't seen it yet. I'm not too sure. Anyway, so obviously Liko and the Nido Thing fan here, they do have themselves a bit of a little fondness of Nido Thing, right? I mean, that this episode's a pretty big gag on that, but we do actually get some more seriousness later on into it. And Liko does say that she is a fan of Nido Thing, and this leaves her confused, mostly on why she's not, why is she a fan when she should be she should be like a channel staff member of the Nido Thing channel or whatever. Saying that was the first, that's what she realized the first time that they saw her. And that they are not tourists, or that they are tourists, and they don't really get many of those. So apparently we're in the boonies, I guess, in the Pokemon world or whatever. We don't really get too many tourists around the place, but hey, that is what it is. Which I do kind of like that little aspect that's not really like dived into too much here, is that it seems very much so that Nyabi fan here, she's not I don't want to say normal. That's definitely not the best way to put it. But it's like she doesn't fit in with the surroundings of her. Like we saw an opening bit earlier in the episode with a lot of people like picking crops, Machoke carrying crops and stuff like that. And she is very contrasted to that design and definitely contrasted to that overall. And I do kind of like that aspect. It kind of like plays a little bit into like the casual nerd non-conformist like person that becomes more and more abundant in the real world, like that type of person that, you know, doesn't really fit in with the modern surroundings, right? Like obviously they don't conform to what society wants, which is a good thing. I mean, I'm one of those type of people. I tend to stay shut in and do my own thing, you know, and that's become a big thing for a lot of people. Just that she's very open and introverted about it, and I do honestly like that little extra trope that kind of could be made out of this, is that that's kind of like what her character is. She's very bright, flashy, and very nonconformist to what the village around her is doing, and I do like that. So Roy asks her if she has saw the Black Rayquaza, and she kind of just shuts him up and wants to see Nido Thing. So she thought that she was going to be able to see Nido Thing and gets very disappointed and upset about that. And she does ask Liko who they are, because she seems like she's a staff member, but she also says that she is a fan. And she does admit who she is, saying that she is the legend. Gabby fan says that she's the legendary Sprigatito fan or whatever. Again, whatever the name was, I don't quite remember. But that's just what obviously Sprigatito's name is. So apparently she is legendary among commenters or fans of Nido Thing or whatever, which makes sense given that she was actually featured in an episode or stream or whatever. And Roy just doesn't really get his legendaries too much. I love Cap's face here. It looks like a Geodude. It's funny. Or Brock, I don't know. Anyway. So she says that she's not going to tell them where the Black Rayquaza is, and the Nido Thing is not going to be coming, and she tries to run away, but then Dot steps in and kind of gets her to come running back and try to divulge the information on like where the Black Rayquaza actually is. And you can see that she's really freaking out, like a very big fan, and Roy definitely takes note of that, thinking that it was a good thing to have Dot there so that they could actually, you know, get some information out of her. So we do actually, we do get to see that Liko and Roy, obviously we know they're friends of Dot, but she gets to see that as well, and that we do get to see another point of view of Liko here. Again, going back to what I said earlier, is that like separating like the content creator versus the person behind them, and that, you know, even though she is friends with Dot, that seeing Nido Thing actually still makes her nervous in her own way. It's like there is a pretty big difference between a creator, content creator, and then the person behind that screen, right? I guess take it from me, I don't know. Anyway, so we do see the conversation between Dot and Nyabi fan there, and asking where the Black Rayquaza is, and we do get to see her make this little expression, which, if you know, I'm sure anyone has probably noticed this at this point, but she clearly has not seen a Black Rayquaza. I mean, we already know that, we already figured that out basically. Like she's been acting weird every time it's brought up, so it's clear she doesn't really know anything about that. She likely just did this in order to actually like try and meet Nido Thing, right? Which, I mean, given everything, makes sense. So says that she'd do anything for Nido Thing, and that they start walking into this little field here to try and actually find the Black Rayquaza, or like have Nyabi fan tell them where the Black Rayquaza was. And it seems that this is where Crocodile does want to sing. So hey, Crocodile always wanted to sing. It's just another thing about it. So she does ask Liko how'd she end up knowing Nidothing and that why did she give her special treatment. And she does keep really prying into Liko, asking how she can be friends with Nidothing, how she can like get acquainted with Nidothing. Again, this is bringing up a lot of the casual tropes and casual like things of the modern world with like streamers and like content creator identity and like the fans of said content creator, like at least the extremist fans of such content creators, because like you can see the point of like obviously separating the content creator from their person, in this case seeing like how parasocial, honestly borderline parasocial, some fans can get for certain content creators, and also again how like certain content creators are like how they have certain like influences over their fans and how other fans influence other fans and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of those type of tropes that go on in this episode, and it's very interesting to have seen for sure. And we do have the Littens actually crawling all over her legs, which Meowscarada does end up getting upset at and throwing them. I honestly actually have not put much thought into why it actually did this. My only real assumption is the fact that they were climbing all over her and then immediately climbing all over Liko. Not the Littens, but the Nyabi fan here. She was trying to grab Liko and like, you know, get prime information out of her, right? And I'm gonna just kind of figure that Meowscarada was not into that whole thing. And I'm chucking the Littens, which is pretty funny, but they did end up landing pretty well, and Terapagos is making good friends with them and stuff like that. And Nyabi fan ends up calling out Liko, saying that she hasn't been commenting on Nidothing's videos for a while, and Liko obviously has not been keeping up with everything given the past year's events and stuff like that. Not really going to go back into it too much, but you know, it makes sense why. And Nyabi fan kind of tries to flex on her, not really too subtly, saying that she's been reading a bunch of her comments on her live streams and stuff. And Liko is just trying to be genuine and nice about it and wholesome, saying that it's nice when her comments gets picked. And Nyabi fan just takes that in spite, getting upset basically at seeing Liko just be happy and being nice and whatnot. It is pretty. Again, this is another thing. It's like people sometimes, you know, given certain content creators, people want to compete like who's the biggest fan or who knows the content creator more, or like, you know, who is the content creator's favorite, again, like stuff like that. And stuff that becomes commonplace, especially if you grow to become like a bigger content creator. I mean, I'm sure that that's something that people go through every time. I mean, like looking at your comment sections, it's like you probably see people like being like, I'm your biggest fan, and then someone reply that comment with like, no, you're not, or something like that. Just, you know, a bit cliche, but it probably happens. It really does. And again, it's just another trope, like to go in the mile-long list of how, you know, fan and artist or content creator interactions end up going. So, you know, there's a lot that goes into that there. And Liko does know that it's getting pretty awkward. Funny face. Her face is so funny. She looks so disheveled, I guess. I don't know if that's the best way to word it. Nyabi fan does not look too happy at all. So she starts pretending mostly to look for the Black Rayquaza, and obviously it's just an open field, so there's not really too much to look for in terms of landmark. And Roy does ask her what she was doing whenever she saw the Black Rayquaza, and she said she was doing nothing special, and why did they want to even see the Black Rayquaza so bad. Roy admits that he wants to catch it, throwing her off guard, and that is his dream. And he does mouth saying that he's been pursuing it ever since he joined the Rising Volt Tacklers. And if we know, the Rising Volt Tacklers don't have a very good reputation. So this really annoys Nyabi fans, saying that they're with them. The Littens get upset and move away from Terapagos, and she just turns around saying that she has nothing to say to bad people like them. Again, the Rising Volt Tacklers position is not good. Exceed has told everyone about them, the lies and everything, and it just reinforces that people are not going to see them in a good light. We saw that with the original students in the Kanto Academy, Indigo Academy, and also ended up seeing a lot of it on the news report as well, where people are just not happy with the Rising Volt Tacklers at all. It's basically a group that, you know, if its name gets out again, they're gonna get ridiculed pretty bad for it, even though they didn't really actually do anything. Saying that they're blamed for ruining Mount Kumuri's natural environment, bizarre effects popping up in Pokemon worldwide. The funny ass face where she says if Nidothing's associated with people like you, she's gonna get hate mobbed. So she's and again, not really good. She's considering obviously that they're bad people or whatever, because, you know, makes sense, but it really feels like the forefront of her mind is how that's going to affect Nidothing's image, which again, another thing, how is this big controversy going to affect a big content creator's image? It's just another thing. Again, this is like it's really pointing out a lot of the common tropes and modern tropes. It's like a kind of a wake-up call to like modern society and stuff like that, with parasocial fans and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see. So, and Liko does note that their image is really bad right now, and that this kind of just like really states it and really puts it on the forefront. And she says that she's going to take them down right now for Nidothing's sake, and if you lose, you got to stay away from Nidothing forever. And Liko understands and accepts it pretty much immediately, and that she understands how the Nidothing fan feels when she's got to match her feelings head on. Both being fans of the same creator, I guess, and stuff. You know, they've got to like really show their spirit and show their support for the creator, I guess. I mean, that's kind of like a underlying image of this, but obviously I think there's the main part of it that's mostly about like claiming that they're not bad people. There's another one there. Like that's something big that kind of plays into this as well. Is Liko doesn't want to reclaim the image of the Rising Volt tacklers and show that they're not bad people. So I mean, yeah. Anyway, sends out Meowscarada, and Nidothing sends out an Incineroar. Yeah, she sent out the VGC mon, man. Yeah, she really went all in on that. It's pretty big. So obviously she's a pretty big Incineroar trainer, a Litten trainer. She says she does know how to train them, so 2 Littens and Incineroar does work pretty well for her. So they might both be cat Pokemon, but how can yours last against a fire type Pokemon? So now it is battle start, Liko versus Nidothing, and this is a good battle. I actually really like this battle a lot. We start out with Meowscarada using a Flower Trick, and with Incineroar using Darkest Lariat, with the dodge from Meowscarada, and that's all Meowscarada keeps doing in this fight, no matter what it does, is it keeps dodging Incineroar's attacks, and she does note that out, saying that they're not very tough, as running away is all that they can do. And Roy does point out that Incineroar is really strong. So Meowscarada does go for an Acrobatics. Incineroar goes for Bulk Up, makes the Acrobatics do nothing because of its muscle mass expanding. You know, basically this effectively acts as a protect. Obviously, you know, Pokemon anime shenanigans, this doesn't really seem to actually buff Incineroar's attack power, at least not that much, but it does make it a lot stronger against, obviously, the defensive attack. So I guess it does get that defensive boost, right? Obviously didn't leave a mark, which makes sense. So Liko commands Meowscarada to go for Incineroar's legs in order to try and trip it up a little bit, because obviously that is one of its biggest things, is its abilities to use its legs. It does end up actually getting caught in Meowscarada's vine, string, tanglement, whatever you want to call it. And it does go for a Darkest Lariat to actually pull Meowscarada in, and then immediately gets blasted with a flamethrower. It's actually really strong. Meowscarada actually does almost go down from it. And we do see that we're able to make a lot of good strength out of Incineroar's power there. So again, good fight so far. So far, good fight. We do get the mid-card section of the episode with Liko and Meowscarada and her team. And then we also get to see Dot and her team. So obviously, the big meaning of this is obviously Liko currently fighting Nidothing, being a fan, also while being a fan of Nidothing. And then we do have Dot herself, who is Nidothing, you know, the central content creator in this little... in the piece of media here, right? Whatever, you know, the content creator that the two fans effectively are fighting over. Again, it's kind of a symbolism, or kind of what they're making this episode about, is, again, all that stuff relating to, like, a content creator and its fans. So, makes sense. And we come back to the fight with a very roasted Meowscarada, and we do have a little flex from Nidothing there. And it does seem Terapagos and Crocola are not very confident, I guess, in Meowscarada's abilities, or they're very worried for it. But Liko is definitely a lot more determined about it, saying that she needs to get the sad look off her face and get more fired up. But Liko does keep her head calm and tries to find a solution, not falling for the taunts that Nidothing throws at her. So Incineroar's got high attack power, but it uses some really simple moves and patterns, so she can use it to her advantage. It doesn't really switch things up too much. Meowscarada can dodges attacks really easily, so there is a lot of advantages that Liko does actually have in this fight, even if she is not able to do too much direct damage or super effective damage or anything like that, and is obviously weak to fire. If it's a bad type of matchup, this is an unwinnable fight for Meowscarada, right? So it does make sense. We do get another go for Darkest Lariat, and we do get an Acrobatics from Meowscarada there to kind of knock it out of that Darkest Lariat. They try and go for the double kick again, but Liko does end up going for the Magical Leaf in order to try and kick. And we do have Incineroar trying to kick away the Magical Leaf, but we do see Meowscarada disappear. It was using the Magical Leaf as like a shield in order to mask where it was going to go, and ends up using Trick Flower and dropping Flower Tricks on top of the Incineroar here. And it is going to go for a Darkest Lariat. Don't even feel the attacks finish up with Flamethrower, but Meowscarada put a flower trick right in front of Incineroar where it uses Flamethrower, meaning that it was just a distraction, the original flower trick above it, so that Meowscarada could actually plant the one right there that would do crucial damage if hit, and well, it blasts it completely. I didn't screenshot it, but we did actually see a frame of her telling Incineroar to stop because she did realize what was happening. So it does also say that this does also make like Nabifan look pretty smart as a trainer, at least in some front. She can realize kind of what's happening in the fight and like is able to kind of try and adapt and overcome it a little bit, but obviously it was too late in this instance where, well, now Incineroar got completely blown up by that flower trick, so it was not good for it. But it did work very well in Meowscarada's favor, and obviously Liko was able to keep her cool and be able to devise such a plan like that. So Nabifan does know that the attack was a fake out, and it just shows that their bond is that strong. And we do have Incineroar almost down, but still up in the fight. And we do get these very cool frames of Incineroar and Meowscarada like eyeballing and facing down each other. I do like these a good bit, and we do get a lot of like pause frames of the different characters and the Pokemon. But I didn't really take a picture of all of them. But it is funny. Look at Cap, looks so goofy. We do get an interruption of their fight, and we can actually see that Alt here has come into the fray for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure he just heard that Nabifan knew where the Black Rayquaza was and ended up actually coming here. And it says he's going to get ahead of him and catch the Black Rayquaza first, but it tells him to never mind that, and that he has ran into a horde of Dodrio, which, my god, dude, come on. Almost impressive how I can do this. And Cap is not amused. They're now surrounded by Dodrio. So they made him mad, and that Nabifan says that over there was a Dodrio territory. And then we got Fearow coming in, and Ult says again he made them mad as well, and then she says that over there is a Fearow nest. Cool. So somehow Ult managed to piss off both Dodrio and Fearow, a whole horde of both of them, and neither neither Roy nor Liko are very amused with his antics there on that. And I do like the Liko's smug look there. That looks so funny. Says only got lost because you left me behind in the first place. I don't wonder why that's about. So he said Roy tells them that there's no more time to argue about that, and we do see Nabifan was going to beat them all up, as she puts it. But there's no real reason to do that. Liko and Roy kind of come together and say that they can calm them down and make it to where they don't have to actually fight them. And they actually end up doing that. So Terrapagos actually does come out and terrastalizes too. Or not terrast, I guess it's terrastal. Yeah, terrastalizes for whatever reason. Good for it, I guess. You can just do that at will now. I guess that 1 year of charging in the Pokeball did some things for it. Terrapagos does use Protect. Lucario uses Flash Cannon. Pikachu using Shadow Clones. Team, whatever. And we do have Meowscarada using Flower Trick in order to actually play around and pop all the Cap clones and then appearing in its hand, mostly just to like flabbergast the Dodrio a little bit and kind of just mess with them. So we do end up getting Kilowattrel to use Uproar as well in order to kind of calm down the voices of the Dodrio and Fearow, and they start singing, dancing, messing around, all of that stuff, and trying to just like lighten the vibes of the situation, make sure the Dodrio and Fearow are not upset or mad or anything anymore. And they do end up running away happy and nice, just very nice and stuff like that. So it does show to Nabifan that they are not bad people. They do actually care about people and Pokemon. And Liko and Roy just know that they all had fun and stuff like that, and they never finished their battle. But she knows that she knows how they are now. They aren't, again, bad people. And that's the mindset of Pokemon. There's no way you're bad guys. And I'll just trust what I saw. I was wrong about the Rising Volt Tackler. So again, it shows that the image of the Rising Volt Tacklers is not good, but obviously they're not irredeemable. Actions speak louder than the words of like probably some big mega corporation, even though that mega corporation is probably really trusted. And well, there is some breaking through, you know, to like the bad mouthing that they are doing if you work hard enough and if you can like really prove that you're not bad people, which is what happened here. Obviously it's on a very small scale, but it did happen, and it is nice for sure. And then Roy, of course, thanks her as well. And Ult kind of just does not care, asking where the Black Rayquaza was. And Nabifan just really starts sweating. And we get got framed to Dot asking that she lied. And both of them are obviously upset. Again, we kind of knew this already with how she was acting, that she really did likely lie about it. And well, we know that she did. She said it was that Nidothing was doing one of her rare live streams and she wasn't getting any comments. So she wrote that she saw the Black Rayquaza on Impulse. And Dot does know it was also partially her fault that she bought it too easily. And also says it was a fool's errand. So that he came here kind of for no reason, honestly, which is funny. And he does end up walking away, and Roy gives him the little jab to watch out for wild Pokemon on the way. We do get the apology from Yabi fan, hoping that if she had some serious information, she might be able to meet Nidothing. She wanted Nidothing to take an interest in her like she did with Liko, right? So obviously, again, it's another thing about that is that like sometimes, obviously, content creators will have their friends or will have other like not. I'm not gonna say more important fans. It's not the right word. It doesn't really even exist. But like certain people they work with and stuff like that might also end up being like fans of their channel or stuff like that, right? Like there's gonna be people in that person's life that are, you know, not more, I would say more important, but not in the sense of like one person's worth is higher than another's, but it's like your friends, you're close, you're not there's a level of being beyond being a fan, you know, it's like friendship or, you know, partners in some kind, you know, whatever it is, right? Something like that. And well, obviously Liko does have that sort of connection with Dot, whereas Nabifan does not. And well, that's kind of something that happens here. And you know, we do actually end up seeing Dot's kind of input on that. We do actually also see that Nabi Superfan was her copying Sprigatito Superfan without permission. Nice, cool, right? That's Litten Superfan, but I'll just call him Nabi Fan. It's funny. And Liko does kind of feel bad for her a little bit, and we do see Dot's input on this, saying that she is real friends with Liko, but doesn't intend to give her any special treatment as Nidothing. She treasures each fans who support her, and that includes her without a doubt. And thanks for her for commenting. So again, there is also that part of that. It's like how does the content creator feel about it? It's like a content creator is not likely to put one fan over another in the sense of people that support them. There is obviously going to be that like that barrier of, you know, that content creator's real person and their real personality and stuff like that. It's going to be like friends with people who likely know that they do content. Like obviously, you know, any content creator is going to have their real life friends, and that real life friend is likely going to know that they make content. But that's not how that friendship usually goes. It's not about the content. It's about the person behind the screen. It's about, you know, them being real friends, stuff like that. It's not about just being fans of the channel and, you know, being friends from that. There is obviously a difference in that front. And obviously, you know, this is good enough for Nyabi fan here, so that's pretty funny. And this is a cute scene. I do like it. I do like the Incineroar and two Lins giving her some comfort. It is nice. She says that she hopes that she can count on her support from time to time, and you know, they kind of ends off pretty well. She does apologize to Liko, saying that she messed up and she won't do anything like this as well, saying that she'll change her account name, but Liko does tell her that she doesn't have to, and she is definitely a Nyabi super fan, having pretty much two Littens and an Incineroar. Definitely shows her proof of name for sure. And just by looking at her Litten and her Incineroar, that they're being treated well, right? Obviously a good person, you know, given everything that happened, right? Obviously. Saying let's stay friends and as fellow Nidothing fans, right? So, and even in this front, again, this is something else that can come out of, you know, a friendship or like a meeting through a content creator. It's like you can gain a genuine friendship over being just a mutual fan of a certain creator. Like, you know, life is crazy, things happen, stuff like that. It is nice to see some of that stuff happen as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. You know, there's the good, there's the bad, and there's the middle. There's a lot of it that goes into it, and I think a lot of those tropes, a lot of those traits of like fan content creator relationships and, you know, fan relationships and stuff like that all get played into very well in this episode, very thoroughly, honestly. Especially I love these episodes like this. This series is very good at like showing a lot of different life lessons, traits, tropes from the modern world, stuff like that, very, very well. And I do really like that. Says, glad to see you made a Nidothing fan, Liko. And that she also says that she is a friend with Roy now as well, even though Roy kind of just sat there, but it's funny. Gonna support the Rising Volt Tacklers is about as much as she can support Nidothing, and tell everyone they're awesome people who care about Pokemon. Again, more showing that, you know, it's not irredeemable. The Rising Volt Tacklers and their image is not irredeemable. You know, shining a little bit of light on a bad situation. It is good. Leo says she's glad she came. They're able to show her who the Rising Volt Tacklers really are, and that Roy and her have not taken the wrong path. Progress may be slow, but hopefully someday, once again, cuts off to be continued. But, you know, showing that Rising Volt Tacklers are not bad people. So good episode, very good. Again, it's a good episode. It didn't progress the plot too much, really at all, but it did give us a lot of like showing of like a really important aspect of modern life, like modern online life, is like, you know, parasocial fan content creator relationships. The fighting over a certain a content creator is like, being an idol, jealousy, trying to one up each other, whatever, like being a fan of a content creator, and like just the general idea that is stupid, stuff like that, right? And obviously the good aspect of it too is like you can gain a genuine friendship from that mutual connection to a content creator, and that content creator can be a good person. Obviously, I mean, we know how Dot is, right? So it's good. It's very good. And we do get ourselves the Mega Evolution Special. It is Sableye, and we do get that little trivia here that every time Mega Sableye gem takes an attack, it gets smaller and smaller, and then it can just eat the gem and return back to normal. Very, very cool lore. I do like that. And then the next episode, yes, we're getting Molly back. Molly's back, boys. Let's go. I did end up getting cut off a little bit here, but we did see Meowscarada and Crocodile fighting a Vileplume that was really starting to kick everyone's ass. I ran out of images here. That is actually the last one I've got imaged, but we do get to see Molly in the next episode, and I think it was like, the episode was like the Pokemon Center lady or something. I think that was the title of it. But it's good. So we'll see. We're getting the Rising Voltacklers back slowly but surely. We've got Molly. Next we'll get, maybe Murdoch, Orla, Ludlow, someone like that. It'll be good. We're getting the Rising Voltacklers back, boys. It's awesome. It's awesome. So let's keep it up. Let's see how things go. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode, Nidothing Superfan Showdown or whatever it was called. It was a good episode. I did like it. It wasn't really pertaining too much to the plot or anything like that, but it was really good, showing some very important aspects of modern online life, and I do like that. So let me know what you all think about it in the comments below, and I'll see you later. I hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.